Right. Again, welcome everyone. This is Aparo's Nonprofit Bites and Insights. These are free webinar series that we have tailored specifically for nonprofit professionals like yourselves. We have some amazing experts and speakers who are willingly sharing their time and their expertise with nonprofits. So we are focused today on Power BI. We have Sid Dixit with us, who'll be leading this conversation. I'm super excited. I've actually never dabbled in Power BI, so I will be learning alongside with you all. But before I turn it over to him, I actually have a few things I need to cover. So if you'll indulge me. A few housekeeping items. This webinar will be recorded and uploaded to our website as well as our YouTube channel. Quick thing about our YouTube channel, if you haven't already check it out. I would recommend because we are really building up our resources. So there's a lot of amazing videos, not only webinars, but really short videos on AI. So take a look at that, and we are always welcome to feedback on ways to really build that out. All of you who are attending live today will receive a follow-up email from me. It'll include the direct link to this recording, so you don't have to go searching for it, as well as any slide decks, resources that we might talk about today will all be in that follow-up email. Q&A and chat box are available for you to use. We do have quite a few of us in the room today, so my request is please use the Q&A to drop in your questions. This will just help Sid and I to get a little bit more organized since we know that sometimes those questions can be lost in a chat box. Okay, really quickly, because I know a lot of you are actually new to Aparo, so welcome. Thank you for joining us. We are a nonprofit ourselves. We are based in Charlotte, North Carolina. And in a nutshell, what we do is we help other nonprofits with anything technology related. So any technology questions, any implementation questions, guidance, advice. We are here to help you go through that process. So in addition to our in-house expertise, we have an amazing network of skilled volunteers really wanting to help nonprofits, as well as corporations wanting to support nonprofits who are really improving our communities. So we offer a wide range of services to make sure we're meeting the needs of where you are. But typically, every nonprofit will come through what we call our tech therapy. So this is under our advice, or we connect you one-on-one with a tech therapist to help you get started. If there is a specific technology question, they'll talk you through it and make sure you get connected to the right service, resource, guidance. But we do have nonprofits who come in and just say, I don't know what I don't know. I just know I need help. We get that very often. And so don't be afraid to just have a conversation with it. It is completely free of cost. So with this, I want to highlight two programs because they are right now open for applications. So give me a couple more minutes. The first one is our one of our grant programs. It's called GAIN. This is Growth, Agility, and Innovation for Nonprofits that we do in partnership with Lowe's. This is a one-year nonprofit technology accelerator. So in this 1 year, the nonprofits will receive tech mentorship, tools, training, guidance. They'll go through and get a technology plan to help identify and implement technology and process improvements. So that already sounds good, right? Well, in addition to that, there's also a $5,000 grant that will help you implement the technology improvements that's been identified, as well as up to 5 new laptops. This is only open for Charlotte nonprofits. So if you are in the area and if you're interested, the deadline to complete the application is September 4th. So that's next Thursday. And I will say it's pretty intensive. So if you are at all interested, I would say as soon as possible, take a look at it. Make sure you're looking through the eligibility requirements as well as the time commitment. And if all of that looks good to you, go ahead and get started on the application so that you can make it strong and have it ready to submit by that September 4th deadline. I will be dropping these links in the chat after I speak. The other one I wanted to highlight is our website user experience evaluation program. This is free of cost and really it's open to anybody, anywhere. So this is where we connect you with a volunteer or a team of volunteers, and they'll take a look at your website through the lens of a donor, a volunteer, a client, general public, and they'll complete a scorecard and give you some feedback on ways that you can improve your website. So again, this is open to really anybody, but the reason why I'm highlighting it today is because if you are in the Charlotte area, we do have actually an in-person event that we are doing with Lowe's on September 24th from 1 to 3. So you'll come to the Lowe's offices, I think it's the offices, or maybe their warehouse, not sure. But you'll meet with a team of Lowe's employees. They will go through your website and give you some in-person feedback. So really awesome opportunity if you are interested. We only have one spot left, so highly recommend if you are interested, sign up as quickly as possible. Okay, again, I'll drop the link in the chat in a moment. So that is it for me. Sorry for taking up so much time. I don't typically do. But lastly, if you are interested at all in connecting with us at any time, whether tomorrow or in the future, website, there is a form there for you to complete, or you can subscribe to our email list to stay updated on our programming. All right, well, thank you so much for that. I will stop sharing and go ahead and turn it over to Sid so he can get started on Power BI.
Sounds good. Thank you, Yenting. Let me quickly share my screen and let me know when you guys are able to see. Perfect.
Looks good.
Looks okay. Yep. Thank you, Yenting, for the opportunity. Today, we are going to talk about, obviously, Power BI, but most importantly, why Power BI matters for nonprofit organization. I know Power BI is a tool from Microsoft. It can get really overwhelming when you open it for the first time. It has a lot of features. So I'm not going to overwhelm you with all the features that Power BI provides. I'm going to help you as a part of this meeting to help you tell a story to save time and make better decisions with your data. So let's jump onto it. Before we start, a brief introduction about me. I'm a principal enterprise architect at CopperPoint Insurance. CopperPoint is a 100-year-old institution. And as a part of CopperPoint Insurance, I drive digital transformation and technology modernization, being with them since last 7 years now, driving several technology initiatives. Live in Charlotte with my wife, a 5-year-old daughter, and 2 dogs. And here's a fun fact about me, which I keep sharing with everybody I meet. It's that one of my dogs thinks he's a musician. He actually sings with me, and whenever I play harmonica. So there's a small little picture over here with me playing harmonica and my dog singing. Yeah, with Aparo, I've been actively involved as a volunteer supporting several non-profit organizations through tech therapy sessions and knowledge sessions. I've also led several Power BI engagements as a part of those tech therapy sessions, helping nonprofits to make data-driven decisions. So that is all about me. Let's start with why should you care about Power BI, right? So one of the things that nonprofit do is they run by passion. But let's be honest there, although we run by passion, we are limited by resources. So that's where Power BI shines a lot. With Power BI, you can do more with less and get smarter insights. When we talk about nonprofit organizations, we deal with a lot of messy data. We deal with volunteer information, donation information, for example, event tracking. All of that is captured in files, Excel sheets. But there is a need to turn them into actual, real, clear visual story. And that is where Power BI really shines. It can take all of that messy data and transform that into, real stories that you can look at and you can make future decisions, right? You're with Power BI, you're just not literally crunching numbers. You are completely aligned with what impact those numbers show for you. So that is another benefit that you have when you have Power BI in place. And then you're of course making smarter decisions with Power BI. But most importantly, and not a lot of people, non-profit organizations know, is that Power BI is especially the desktop version that is free to use, and it is freely available, so no investment cost. There's also a web version available which comes with the Office 365 license, but the free version is good enough to get started. So it is free, low investment, ready to go for you to build smarter insights. And as a part of this presentation, I'm going to be talking about how to do that. Okay. So before we jump into Power BI, I think there are three prerequisites that you need to keep in mind before you dive into building a real Power BI report. And I have like a three-step blueprint which you can follow to build your own Power BI reporting system, right? The first step of the process is data ingestion. That's where you collect data from multiple sources. So you have like Airtable forms or Google Forms that you use to, get volunteer information, donor information. You need to make sure that all of that data moves into a single central location for you to track. So your first goal should be to collect data in a single place, right? The second step of the process, once you have the data collected in a single place, is you need to create you need to maintain a raw copy of the data so that you have the source of truth available. But you should also format the data a little bit, standardize on naming convention. If there is relevant information that you need for your reporting purposes, you should use that, otherwise eliminate that. You need to ensure that the data types and the data format specifically, those are standardized based on whatever data you're receiving. For example, dates and phone numbers should be consistent, zip codes should be in consistent format, right? So that's the second step of the process of before building, Power BI reports, right? And then the third step is a little more advanced step. As you grow, as you build your central data repository with all the data coming from all of these sources, you need to start thinking about data governance. And that is going to be something which you would do after you have centralized all your data. You need to make sure that whoever has access to this, whoever has access should have access to data, and you would deny access to folks who do not have access to see the data, right? The other thing is you need to automate the process end to end. And that is something you can think about in future, like automation, how you deliver the data in the central location, build data in robust data engineering pipeline, have quality checks in place. All of the step three essentially is an advanced step that you can think about once you have done step one and step two. But for Power BI, I think once you reach step two, you will be ready to go build and start building your Power BI dashboards, right? So from Power BI's perspective, um, I have segregated it into four layers on how you're going to build your reports. The first step is obviously the raw layer, which can be your data source that you have centrally aggregated, can be Excel sheet, and Power BI supports different kinds of data sources. It can even support databases, it can support integration, other kinds of integrations as well. But your goal here is to have a raw zone where you centralize all of that data, right, in an unprocessed format, right? The next step of the process is from the raw area, you need to create a silver zone within your Power BI environment. That's where you take the raw data and then you transform the data a little bit within your silver layer within Power BI. You load it within Power BI and then you start transforming it, cleaning the data a little bit. And I'm going to walk you through all of that in the coming slide on how to do that, right? And then the third step would be to actually build the metrics. So Power BI has something known as analytics, data analytics expressions called DAX. You can build your measures and aggregates that will power your key performance indicators, averages, sum, and whatnot. You can do all of that in your gold layer. And finally is the consumption layer, which is your final layer. That's where you're going to visualize and look at the report. And that's where you will be able to see and tell powerful stories with your data. So essentially a four-step process, four-step sequential process where you take the data, clean it, enrich it, aggregate it, and then build it into a dashboard, right? And that is what we are going to see. So this session is going to be pretty hands-on. I'm going to walk you through an example, and I'm going to walk you through this process step by step on how you can achieve that through Power BI. So let's jump in. We are going to take an example from one of our data cohorts that Aparo has organized, and Yenting shared a sample Excel sheets with donations in it. And I'm going to use that as an example for building a beautiful dashboard within Power BI with key performance indicators, with graphs, with pie charts. And you're going to see how those, data attributes, those interact with each other, how they are essential to, build a really powerful data report, right? So before jumping into Power BI, let's go through the installation process. So installation is pretty straightforward. You would go to Microsoft Store, and once Microsoft Store launches, you literally you have to do is search for Power BI here. And then you're going to find Power BI desktop in your as one of the apps. And since I have it already installed, it says it asks me to launch it, but then you can just click that there should be an install button here. You can literally click install, and that will be installed as an application within your Windows device. So pretty straightforward to install. Now let's launch the Power BI application, and let's go through some foundational features. Okay, so I'm going to launch Power BI. And the first thing over here that you see is, the first thing that, when you launch it, it asks you to select a data source, right? And then on the bottom, you would see recent files. If you've created any recent files, it will be available to you as a list. There's a sign-in option available if you want to sync it with your Office 365 account, but that comes with an enterprise license. It does come with additional benefits.
Sid, really quickly, is it at all possible to make it a little bit bigger?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this cannot be bigger, but let me try and see if I can. All right. Let's see, maybe 150%. All right. Does it look better?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. All right. So yeah. So you see an option to select data source. And then I'm going to use an example that Yenting graciously created for us for our data cohort program. And it contains basic data information. It contains the program summary. It contains donor information, who donated at what point in time. It contains session attendance. So basically it is, there are schools, you have mentors assigned for those schools. The students are the mentees, and they are getting graded. They are attending mentor sessions, and all the attendance is captured. All of that is captured in this Excel sheet. So when I talk about data centralization, this is how you're going to capture it in a central format so that it can be leveraged by Power BI. So you have a single place where you have all your data segregated using multiple tabs. And this is going to be our true source of our Power BI report that we are going to build. So I'm going to go back to Power BI. I'm going to click blank report here because we are going to start with a clean slate. And it again asks you here to select a data source. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to click import data from Excel. go to my location and open the Excel that I was talking about. When I click open, Power BI is not gonna literally open the Excel sheet within Power BI. What it is gonna do is it is gonna copy the data within the Power BI platform, right? So it is gonna encrypt the data and it is going to copy it within the platform, all running within your laptop, with all the data within it, right? And and it also compresses the data. So Excel, the problem with Excel sheet is you can run into you know, thousands of rows and your Excel data will be really slow. But with Power BI, it can work with millions of records within your Excel and CSV file. So it is highly optimized for that because it compresses the data before it loads into Power BI. So your Excel still remains your source of truth, whereas your Power BI report becomes your transformed silver data that we are going to transform for reporting purposes. Okay, so I'm going to click open here and it's going to take a little bit of time. And this is where it is actually copying the data, compressing it, and making it available for Power BI to access. Okay, so as soon as I load it, you will see that all the tabs within the Excel sheet are automatically identified. And all we will have to do is import them and load them within Power BI. So our raw data is automatically detected. I'm going to select, let's say, 4 tables: homework, mentor donor programs, summary, session attendance, just as a starter. And I'm going to click load button here. And once I click load button, it is going to automatically create a copy from that Excel sheet within Power BI rather than just opening the Excel sheet within Power BI, which is pretty important because we are going to play around with this data quite a bit in the next few minutes. So I'll click load. And once I click load, it is going to take a little bit of time and it is going to load all of that data. And within the Power BI interface on the left-hand side panel, you have these icons, right? You have a report view, which is going to be your diamond zone where you will see your report. You have your table view, which is where you would transform your data. And then you have your model view, which is again interesting, where you will see your relationship visually. You can set your relationships visually. So I'm going to go to the table view right now, and you can see that the data was loaded, right? But I want to transform the data a little bit. When I look at the data, I see some empty rows here. I see, the data loaded correctly, but I still see it needs to be transformed a little bit, right? So I have an option to transform data that was loaded. So when I click this button, it is gonna automatically open a new window where I can actually transform the data that I need. So when I click transform data, it will open a new window and I have all of these tables, but you actually notice there are blank rows within the tables pulled from Excel. You have blank rows here. You have this donor table here. Doesn't look really clean. It has, hyphen in the donation amount. That is going to probably create problems while we are generating reports. So our first step of the process while we transform it is to clean the data a little bit, right? Let's start with the donation amount to start with, right? So I'm going to click the column here, and I'm going to replace. There is an option to replace values. I'm going to find the hyphen, and I'm going to replace it with 0. And when I click that, it is going to look at, since it's very simple, it just made one change here, but it can, just look at your whole data and transform it for you within this table, right? And then the data type, I'm going to set it as decimal number because it's an amount. So I'm just going to set it as decimal number. Let's also modify this. So I'm just going to do replace values for this. And then I'm just going to replace it with annually, just to keep it a little clean, right? Yep. So now I have transformed this data. Let's go to program summary. It has null values here. So we can go here in the home tab in Power BI, and there is an option to remove rows. You click that, and there is already a pre-built option to remove blank rows. So you're going to click that, and it's going to clear out all the blank rows that you had accidentally put in your Excel sheet. So it's going to clean that data for you automatically. Yeah. So, and then the same thing I'm going to do for this table. So I'm just going to remove blank rows here as well. So now I have removed blank rows. I've cleaned up the data a little bit. Now my data is ready to go. It's in a good state where we can start doing transformation, the gold transformation. We have done the silver, we have taken the raw, we have loaded it, transformed it, made it silver, and now it's time to make it gold. So I'm going to close and apply the changes. It's going to take a bit of time, and it's going to apply the data type, data format changes that I did, right? Yep. So this is how you transform the data, right? So now the next step would be, how would you visualize the data? So I have these tables on your right-hand side from the table view. And then there is something known as a report view. That's where you're going to build your reports, right? So let's start with a simple report to start with. And then we are going to get more complex. We're going to increase our complexity and build more complex reports as we move forward, right? So the most simple table is this mentor donor table, and that's where I could do some kind of aggregation. Maybe I need to maybe it will be helpful if I know what is my total donation amount by the donation frequency, like by quarter, by annually or monthly. What is the donation amount, right? So we are going to create that simple pie chart, or let's say a donut chart. So here on your right hand side panel, you have options for visualization. You can literally click that, and then you have all your tables, right? You have on your right hand side, which has all your columns, right? So here you have something known as legend, which is your y-axis, and then your values, which is your x-axis. You're going to take the donation frequency and put it within your legend. And then you're literally going to take your donation amount and put it in your values. When you do that, it is going to automatically sum it up for you. Since it is a pie chart or a donut chart, it's going to automatically sum it and aggregate it for you. You don't have to do anything. It automatically does that for you, right? But if you look at it, it doesn't look that formatted. If the data here doesn't make a lot of sense. So there is an option to format the chart that was automatically generated, right? So you go to detailed labels. You need to find the category. You need to sort it by category with percentage of total. You're going to select that, and that's going to give you, based on percentage total, what category, and the amount of donation by category automatically, right? And then the title itself doesn't look very intuitive. So you could just go to General tab, and then you can just change the title to something which is more intuitive. Let's call it donations by frequency. All right. So we were able to create a quick visual pie chart with the data. And this is something you can do in Excel as well. So this is not, this is not something unique to Power BI. So, but we were able to quickly play with our data and just create a simple pie chart, right? Now we'll go to some more advanced stuff. Now we'll build our first key performance indicator based on the donations table, right? So one of the KPIs looking at the table would be what is the total donation amount? Like what should I capture the total donation amount as one of the key performance indicators? How would you go about doing that? First of all, you have to go and check this donation amount column. You have to make sure that uh, uh, it is the format is correct. It doesn't have any characters. You go here, and then you set the format to currency, right? You set the format to currency, and automatically what it does is it sets the format of this amount into currency. And then now You can create a key performance indicator with this, right? So I'm going to go to my so I'm going to so once it is done, it has the dollar amount set. So I'm quickly gonna create my first key performance indicator. To do that, you have to sum these values. In your pie chart, it automatically did that for you. It actually summed up the total donation amount. But in order for you to sum this value up, you need to create something known as a measure. And then that measure would be actually a field within your table. So I'm going to show you how to do that, right? So there's an option known as new measure, right? And this is where you can specify what that measure would be. We'll call it total donations. And then it is going to be sum of the donation amount. Mentor donor is the name of the table, and then the donation amount. So just using this sum, I'm going to create a measure called total donation. Once you click commit, it is going to create the measure for you called total donation within your table. So you have your total donation as an attribute already, which is going to get updated as and when this data gets updated, right? So now this can act as your key performance indicator, first key performance indicator for the table. So to do that, you would select something known as a card. Oops, I'm just gonna unselect it, create a card, place it here, and then I'm gonna just drag and drop the first measure that I created. And then voila, you have your total donation amount, total donation dollar amount already available, right? You can change the title a little bit, uh, play around with colors and whatnot. You can do whatever, however you want to format this. So it's a simple key performance indicator that you are able to build with one of the columns within your table, right? And this will get updated as and when, the data gets updated. Okay, so let's move to some more advanced options, right? So we are going to go to the table view again, and let's look at the session attendance table, right? It does look great, I mean, by itself, but I don't like the way it is structured. Ideally, I would want a table where I can count how many people attended uh, by session numbers, for example. So this table doesn't tell you that true story, and that's where you will need to transform the data, right? So again, we will have to click transform data. And there is an option here to go to your session attendance table. And then here you can transform the data. You can create something known as pivot table. What it is going to magically do is it is going to create the table vertically, meaning it is going to aggregate the data by session as soon as I create this. So I'm going to select these two columns, and I'm just going to right click it and then click unpivot other columns. Once I do that, it is gonna uh, create the table in this format where you have each an individual mentee with their sessions. So I'm just going to rename this column as session, and then I'm just gonna add attended attribute as one of the columns here. So it actually flips the table into, each by user, by whether they attended the session or not. So if they attended the session, it's 1. And then if they did not attend the session, it's 0. Now, if I take this data, I can transform it visually into a KPI. So I'm going to just go ahead and do that as a part of my next step. So I'm just going to click close and apply. And it's going to transform the data. And you can see the transform data in this format, right? And then I'm going to create new measures on this data, right? So what I really want to find as a part of my KPI, key performance indicator, is average attendance of students, right? What is the average attendance? So basically, I need to sum up all the sessions attended and then the total session, basically the total session, right? So I'm going to create a quick measure here, and I'm going to create a measure called total attended, which is just literally going to be sum of the session attendance table, sum of all the attended, means the total attendance of all the sessions. So that is going to be total attended, and I'm going to commit that. So it created that for you in your data tab. Then I'm going to create something known as total possible, right? So which is going to be uh, something known as it is going to count the total number of possible sessions. Uh, so it is going to count the session attendance rows and count the total number of possible sessions. And the average would be the total attended uh, uh, by divided by total possible session, and that is going to give you the average attendance. So simple formula to calculate that um, total attended divided by total possible sessions. So I'm going to create that. So it created total possible, total attended, uh, and then I'm going to create average attendance, which is going to be total attended. Average attendance would be total attended. Oh, sorry, did I commit the first one? I'm going to do total attended again a little bit. Yeah, total attended, and then average attendance would be right here. Okay, so I have created those three measures. One is total attended, one is hang on, I think I might have messed it up a little bit. So let me go and undo the changes. I'm just going to go and delete these measures and recreate them. I'm going to I'm just going to delete this measure again. I'm going to quickly recreate it. Session attendance. Okay, so I'm just going to recreate the model again by total attended. New measure. I'm going to create total attended again. This was created. And then I'm going to create total possible. Okay, and then finally average attendance. Oh, for some reason, the total attendance column doesn't exist. Let me quickly change that a little bit. I'm going to quickly uh, delete the measures completely, and I'm going to retry it again. Let's go back and recreate it once more. And then finally, average attendance. Hopefully this time it's going to work out. Okay, so now it's good. All the three measures have been created: average attendance, total attended, and total possible. Yeah, I think I might have just added a typo there. So now I need to find out, I need to create a key performance indicator with my average attendance percentage, right? So I'm going to go to my visualization again, and I'm going to create a gauge here, just as an example. So I'm just gonna click the blank area, click the gauge, and it's gonna create the gauge here. And then I'm going to drag the total attended, the average attended percent column over there. So as soon as I drag it, it just shows me average attendance percentage as decimal because I literally divided the uh, total attended with the total possible attendance out of all the sessions, right? So now you see it is 0.64, but I want to show it in the form of percentage, right? So that's where you go to something known as model view. You go here, there is an option, you click, you see all your tables and their columns visually, you click one of them, and then you select percentage format. And then you format it with percentage with 2 decimal places, right? You go back to the report view, and there you can see your average attendance shows as percentage, right? But now your question is average attendance against what? So you also need like something which tells you, I want to meet an average attendance threshold of, let's say, 90%. How do you show that within your within your chart, for example? So for that also, you need to create a measure. So I'm going to create a quick measure for you. So I'm going to go to my table view again. I'm going to create a new measure, and I'm going to call it as target. And then I'm just going to set my target as 0.9 because that's how the other decimal attributes have been calculated. So I'm going to create that measure called target and commit it. Now let's go back here and let's find the target attribute, and I'm going to drag it to the target value within this chart. So as soon as I do that, it shows you a line which shows you your target threshold. So 63% your average attendance, and this is your target threshold of 90%, right? So this gives you a good picture of what was the average attendance and what is where you want to be, right? Okay, so the next, yeah. So the next thing about that I'm going to discuss is model view. Yeah, I did touch upon model view a little bit. This is the third view in your left-hand side panel. This is where you see all your data attributes, your data type visually. But this is where you also build relationships. Now, if you notice in my data, there is an attribute called ID, and there's a relationship between, ID, which is essentially mentee ID, with their mentee session attendance, right? So you could literally build one-to-many relationships using this data model, so that you can get key insights from more than one tables together. That is something we are going to try to do as a part of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a relationship between this table and this table, right? So to do that, it's pretty straightforward. You click, let's say, the ID column in the program summary table, and you literally just drag and drop in the ID column on your session table, right? And it automatically detects it's a one-to-many relationship. And then when you click save, it is going to build the relationship for you. So if you notice, there is an arrow that comes in, which creates a relationship between your program summary and your session attendance, right? And that's where we are gonna start building relationships with our table, right? So now once the relationship is established, uh, I'm going to go to my report view again, and what I'm going to do is insert something known as a slicer, which is going to allow us to talk to this graph with data attribute from the other table, the relationship that I built from the other table. So I'm just going to click here and then click slicer and put it right below this. And then I'm gonna from that different table where we created the relationship, I'm literally gonna drag and drop the school attribute. So my goal is to see the average attendance by school. Now, since I've built that relationship between the program summary table with mentees as well as their attendance, I'm going to be able to quickly start seeing the relationship. So I'm just going to drag and drop it here, and it's going to automatically pick up the school names. And if you notice on the fly, it is going to give me results based on school. Since we built that relationship, it is going to tell us by school what is the average attendance by school, right? Right? So this is how you build relationship, and you actually create slices that can filter the data by relationship. Okay, so let's create something. Let's create another, graph here, maybe something related to session attendance itself. I want to create a measure to calculate the attendance percentage by session. So I'm going to create a line chart. I'm going to place it in a blank area. I'm going to use the same, create a line chart over here. And once I create a line chart, it shows x-axis, y-axis, and all the attributes. So in the x-axis, I'm going to be putting session. In the x-axis, I'm going to be putting the session attribute, right? And in the y-axis, I'm going to be putting the average attendance percentage within the y-axis, right? So then it is going to show you by session what is the average attendance for each of these mentees by session, right? Obviously, you see a little bit of a downfall as we go towards, towards the end of the session, which is what the graph depicts over here, right? So you are able to uh, visualize it by session. Now, the best part about the relationship that we built is this can also be drilled down by school. So as I change these school names, it automatically updates both of them because we built the relationship between all between the school as well as the the session attendance table, the program summary table, and then the session attendance table, if that makes sense, right? So that's how you build relationships, and that's how you transform those relationships in actual graphs, and that's how you make like really interactive dashboard, right? Um, Maybe we can add one more key performance indicator here. Maybe I also want to know the homework completion percentage as well of each of these mentees. There's another table called homework in our data sheet, right? We will go here and we will go to the homework table, and within that you have mentees and their uh, homework homework completion percentage. But what we really want is the total homework completion percentage for all the mentees, right? So for that, we need to find the total homework assigned, total homework submitted, and then find the total homework completion. And that also can be done through a measure, right? So I'm just going to quickly do that. Total homework assigned. It's going to be straightforward. I'm going to add that. Create one more measure called total homework submitted. And then finally, one more last measure. Homework completion is total homework submitted by total homework assigned, right? So I created that. And now it's literally a matter of, yeah, we still have to format that into percentage. That is something we can do it in advance. You can do, go back to this table here and homework completion per total homework completion percentage. You can format it as percentage. So we'll be formatting it as percentage. Go back here, and now we can just build our card right here. And then I'm going to drag and drop my homework completion percentage. And let me widen this a little bit. Homework completion percentage indicator here. So now it shows me the homework completed percentage as well. So that's how you look at this data, and then you determine the key performance indicators that you need and how you are going to transform the data. And that's how you build interactive visual dashboard. And there's a lot to do with this. You could build filters, you could create different kinds of graphs. You can actually write code within a Power BI platform to build additional formulas using transform data. With that said, I think I'm going to pause here and open for any questions.
Yeah, Sid, thank you for walking us through that. Wow, what a powerful tool to create a dashboard. That is amazing. A couple questions. This one, I think you covered, but really quickly, is the data updated automatically as data is added to the Excel data source? So, for example,
Abs
if a donation is added, will it update into the KPI in the Power BI?
it does it automatically, but there is also an option to sync the data, right? You would have an option to refresh it, although it does it automatically as and when you open this report, it is going to do it. The first time you open it, it is going to do it. But let's say now you go back and change the data in your Excel report. Let's say you add a little bit more uh, like data in it, right? So there is an option here to refresh it. As soon as you put the data in here, you can click refresh and it's going to refresh the data, essentially copy the data within your Power BI environment.
Great, thank you. We have a question around how do you manage data security while using Power BI?
Yeah, it's a great question. Data security is obviously, one of the major concerns, specifically for large enterprises. With Power BI Desktop, I mean, since it is running within your local environment, um, that will not be a concern. But I think when it comes to data storage, you need to make sure that the data where you're storing is completely secure and people with the least privileges have access to the data. So your data security layer should lie in your storage layer where you're actually storing the data. Power BI itself would be encrypting the data and compressing it and loading it. So if anybody gets, so if anybody wants to take a look at the data, they will need to have Power BI application installed to look at the data. But your actual security itself should reside on how you store the data. A lot of, encryption tools are there that are available in OneDrive, for example, or within Amazon, you have Amazon S3 where the data is encrypted. You could use those as your data storage locations.
Great. How can the Power BI be viewed by others or exported?
Yeah, you can export it as PDF and share it with Power BI desktop version, but the enterprise version, which has Power BI web, that's where you can sync it into a web view, which can be shared to any executives. For example, in my organization, we use the Power BI web, which comes with Office 365. It's probably $14 per user for the premium license. That's where you can just literally share it as a URL to your executives, and they can just, as long as they have access, they will be able to launch it within their browser. But here, you could actually uh, export it in the form of PDF and then share the PDF report to any of the stakeholders you want to share with the free version.
So with the cards and tables that are created, do they stay in Power BI or do we copy them to our dashboards and Word reports and they will still update live?
If you put, yeah, that's a great question. Both ways, yeah, both ways. People do it both ways. You can keep it stored within Power BI as well, or you can expose it something like I did for one of my, one of the nonprofit organization. I helped them expose this dashboard in SharePoint as an iframe, right? And then what it does is it can expose that dashboard as a live dashboard to end users who use Microsoft SharePoint. So yes, it is possible to embed a live dashboard into your platform, your tools. As long as they support iframe, you should be able to do that.
Mm. I love that. That's great. What tool would you need to create automated email for reports?
Yeah, you could use Airtable to to do that. There's something known as Zapier, which where you could build automatic workflows. A lot of nonprofit organizations use that. With Zapier, you could build, workflows where you could have your reports delivered automatically to set of email users or email distribution lists. So you could, and then there is for if you have Microsoft license, there is Microsoft Power Automate, which can do a similar kind of thing.
Melinda asked, would it be possible to forward the content in a step action format?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you need,
So
if
maybe like if you have a resource, Sid, I can share that link or that
for sure,
specific resource for that step by step.
for sure. Yep.
Okay. Kirsten, you asked about the new measure. So the recording will be shared so you can go back to that part and review it. But I think you asked it right before he did it again. So hopefully that covered it. There was some confusion around a specific data point. I don't know if we need to go through it, but I'm not a math person. So the good question was when you did the donation, there was someone who donate 1,200 a month.
Right.
And the math didn't seem to come out correctly.
Yeah, I mean, the goal here was to, show the sum of donation amount and then, donation by, annual, quarterly, and whatnot. Um, it actually summed up whatever was available to in our data. So goal was to just show you how to go about doing that rather, going too much into mathematical formula. But this is something that I did live. I can go back and look at if I did any mistake while doing it.
Oh, look at this. We have a request for a part two.
Okay,
Um,
wow.
I think that speaks a lot to how you really did this, Sid. I think you did it
Thank you.
so clearly, so well done.
Appreciate it.
And based on what you said, there's definitely more advanced things. So maybe we can chat offline about potentially a part two.
Yeah,
Actually, what would be really helpful and a great segue is I am dropping a survey link in the chat. So if you do want a part two, please put that into the survey as well as what you'd like to see in that part two. I think that will be really helpful in helping us develop that potential webinar. Okay, so with 2 minutes left, Sid, any other final comments, questions, advice, guidance?
no, I
Nope.
think I'm good. Thank you for the opportunity. And if anybody wants to reach out to me for questions, feel free to reach out to Yenting and she can direct the questions to me. Always available to help. Thank you.
Yes,
Thank you for the
absolutely.
opportunity.
Yeah, and thank you for stepping up to lead this. And kind of going off of that, if you are looking for that additional support, someone like Sid to walk you through your current Power BI or even setting up, that is what our tech therapy is for. So you can always reach out and say, "Hey, I love it, but I want that hands-on support." Let me know. We can possibly connect you with Sid if he's available, but we do have a bunch of amazing volunteers who do have that expertise as well. Okay, I think that is it for me. Expect that follow-up email, include the recording as well as everything that we talked about in terms of resources today. And as always, if you have any other questions or comments or anything at all, reply back and we'll be happy to hear from you. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Sid. Amazing job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Bye.